Chapter 7 Richard. Alright, so let's talk about your plan a bit more. Really? Now? Here? In a public diner? Franklin asked. I knew our plan wasn't something others should be hearing, but I felt like now was a good time while forks and spoons clank against the plates and tables. Barely anyone can hear us besides people at their tables. We're fine. Whatever you say. If someone hears us and calls the cops, I'm blaming you. And I'll take the blame. I cut up a bit of the toast from the plates that sat in front of me. So, we find a way in, and we take everything of value. I poke the toast with my fork and eat it. And if we get caught, Franklin bit his eggs and chewed on them as he spoke. Slim chances. There's never any activity at that place. Hell, the cops probably forgot about it. But if there is activity and the cops are notified, they're sure to get suspicious. Stop worrying so much. We'll be fine. I picked up another piece of toast and munched on it. Our heist plan was only a few moments away, and we had a good plan going. We need to have a plan B escape too, just in case. Alright, well, Franklin pulled out a map we made about the location. We enter here, he pointed to the entrance, so I say we go through this door back here. Seems like it led to an employee's parking lot or something. He dragged his finger from the entrance towards the back hall where a door was labeled. Seems good. Franklin folded back up the map and went back to eating his breakfast, as I did the same. We continued chatting about stuff until we finished our food and checked out. The drive to our location wouldn't be too far from where we had breakfast, so it'd just be a short drive. So, what do you want to take from that place? I asked Franklin. I put the keys into the car and started it up, pulling out of the parking lot of the red and silver diner. I don't know. Depends on what's good enough to steal. Maybe some valuable things I could sell for a pretty penny. Huh, I'm thinking about taking that little cupcake thing. We drove through the roads as we passed cars and vehicles. What do you plan to do with it? Franklin looked out the window at the passing buildings and the streets. I don't know. Maybe have it somewhere in my house? It'd just be a cool collectible. We took a turn onto the road that led off to the location. Eventually, we made it. Here we are, I said as a sign out front came into view. We pulled into the parking lot and just put the car wherever we wanted since no one was around to care. Let's do this. Franklin got out of the car and grabbed a bag from the back seat. I grabbed a bag of my own once I got out, and we headed towards the entrance. I noticed that there was a lock on the door, but it looked as if it was brutally broken off, so I tested the door and it opened fine. I guess the place just letting us in. We walked into the building and started looking around. Split up. We could get stuff quicker like that, Franklin said. Gotcha. I started walking away towards the kitchen area. I'm sure I could find something cool in there while Franklin walked off to some other place in the restaurant. As I entered the kitchen, I turned on my flashlight and looked around. As I entered the kitchen, I turned on my flashlight and looked around. Dusty and old leftover food laid around, as well as abandoned tools and silverware. Something had to have been useful, or worth something in here. So I started opening cabinets and drawers to see if anything was interesting in here. Nothing of interest was catching my eye, and the smell of moldy food was getting to me. So I was going to wrap up my investigation soon. I opened the fridge to see if anything interesting was in there. Unfortunately, no, there wasn't. I closed the fridge and suddenly heard what sounded like a thud followed by clashing pots and pans. I turned around at the sound and noticed something that wasn't there before. The cupcake animatronic I was planning on taking. I went over to the animatronic and picked it up, spinning it around and looking at it. I assumed Franklin had put it there while I wasn't looking, but I looked around as well, still holding the cupcake, to see if Franklin was anywhere nearby. I didn't see him, so I just went back to looking at the cupcake. You're coming home with me, I said to the animatronic. As I was about to put it in the bag that I set on the floor, something in it happened. The animatronic's eyes squinted. Oh, I didn't realize you were on. A little white dot appeared in the eyes of the animatronic as I said that. Something felt off about it. I didn't have time to react though as the cupcake leaped from my hands, opening its jaw as it clenched onto my face. Hey, what the? I felt the pressure apply to my head. The animatronic's mouth was compressing my head. I fell to the floor as I fought to get it off, but the teeth it had were already digging into my skull. I tried screaming as the animatronic continued crushing my skull, but it just sounded muffled over the mechanical sounds of the cupcake. I couldn't take the pressure anymore as I heard other mechanical sounds, like footsteps. They were getting closer to me. I couldn't see what it was that I was approaching. Chapter 8. Franklin. I kept looking around the back hall where I pointed out Plan B's exit. There had to be some kind of unique thing back here. Hell, I'm pretty sure the security office should be back here, so there has to be some valuable things in there. I looked around to see if there's any good things I could snatch, but there wasn't much of anything back here. Just old, dusty security stuff and whatnot. I did grab a few things like a watch and some memorabilia, but nothing else looked worth it. I walked out of the office and back down the hall in which I came from, until I got back out to the main room. I noticed how the stage looks like it had been messed around with, so I decided to check it out. I peeled back one of the curtains to reveal the 3 animatronic animals on stage. Wait, no, there's only 2. Damn, Richard, we're taking the characters too? I yelled out to the restaurant. I expected a response, but I didn't hear anything. Maybe he just didn't hear me. I hopped off the stage to get ready to take the rabbit since I assumed we're taking the animatronic now. But I heard something from the kitchen area. Muffled screaming. Richard? I called out again. I stopped what I was doing and hopped off the stage. I turned back around for a second because I thought I heard some kind of mechanical noise, but nothing seemed to have moved. So I continued my way to the kitchen area where I heard the noise. As I approached the kitchen, I looked through the window where he ordered food from and saw Richard on the floor with his face covered by the cupcake animatronic. I was horrified, but my next sight made things worse. The chicken animatronic was slowly approaching Richard's body before stopping and looking at me. My fear grew wider as I started back off and ran back towards the employees' hall in which I just left. Something wasn't right here, and it was obvious. I ran to hide in a changing closet to hopefully stay out of sight of any of these things that might just be hunting me down now. I sat down on the floor to take a breather once I closed... I sat down on the floor to take a breather once I closed the door behind me. I placed one of my hands on the floor, but when I did, it felt all fuzzy and not flat at all. I stood up and tried to find out what the hell that was, but I couldn't see anything except for 2 white dots glowing in the dark, just over my head. I looked for a light switch and eventually found a cord hanging from the ceiling, so I pulled it, and suddenly the room became brighter. But now I wished the room was dark again. Standing in front of me was the animatronic bunny, and it was looking directly at me. I didn't even have much time to react as the animatronic had grabbed my neck and pushed me down to the ground before taking its guitar and slowly shoving the tip of it down my throat. The pain was insufferable as I felt the thick tip of the guitar slide its way down and push against my throat, while the guitar strings ran against the insides of my throat. I gagged as I felt blood spew its way up through my throat and out of the mouth, and to eventually drip down my chin. The animatronic looked at me without any emotion, besides a glimpse of aggression in its eyes, as it pushed the guitar down my throat as far as it could go. I was running out of breath as I could see that there was no escape. Chapter 9. Cassidy. All 3 of you got the wrong guys. None of them were the right man. Fritz, you just killed some random man in a school. Jeremy and Susie, I understand that they were trying to take us away, but those 2 men weren't him either. I looked at the other ghostly kids that I've gotten to know over the years of being in here with them. We need to keep looking. What about that new guy that's been stowing up at night? I interacted with him since he was sleeping, but I didn't end him since I don't know if he's the right guy or not. Jeremy began. I know I heard something about a new guy recently. Yeah, sir, whatever. I felt annoyed about how it's been 5 years and we still haven't found a man who killed us. Cass, can I play with the bear this time? The voice of the younger kid I shared the animatronic with innocently spoke up behind me. I was basically a parent to him, even though I was only a few years older than him. Sure, but not for long. Cass needs to use the bear to do something later. The kid bounced off excitedly in the direction of where we left the suit. He's been around longer than us. How is he still so innocent? Susie spoke up. No clue, but it might be best to keep his innocence.